2.
All right, y'all. We had a little mishap. Anyway, we're live now. It wasn't a sign. I know what y'all thinking already. But anyway, yo, words never spoken. Episode 14. Hey, look, this is about to be fire. Look, Austin, welcome back. My main engineer producer. I'm gonna just have you introduce yourself really quick, please.
Reintroduce yourself. You know, it's your boy Austin Toes. I am Austin Toes on Instagram. We got a show on Saturday night. Shout out King Gino. Be performing live in DC. $20 for the tickets. Hit my DM or his DM for info.
Yeah, that's what's up. So look, y'all, we got a pretty deep episode today.
It's good, my boy.
I'm excited about this episode. It's actually pretty big. I'm gonna tell y'all why. First and foremost, I want to just get straight to the point. Everybody, well, not everybody. Do you grow up Jehovah's Witness?
Might as well. I was 15
really?
when I started.
Okay. Pretty much everybody in this room grew up Jehovah's Witness. Me, since 3 years old, since I remember anything consciously. Everybody in this room grew up Jehovah's Witness, and everybody, even either officially or unofficially, is out the organization right now. So to be honest with all my viewers right now, this is big because this is actually my coming out party. I think me and Austin's actually.
Kinda.
We'll get more into it now, but trust me, my phone is going to be blown up after this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce my guests. You know why this is going to be so special, audience, is because we shared a lot of time in the same congregation where we pretty much gathered the teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses. And we're going to have a lot of stories that intertwine. We're going to have a lot of pieces of the puzzles come together, a lot of questions out of curiosity answered. I know for me, for sure. But first, I want to introduce Imani Brennan. Imani, welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Tom?
I'm good.
That's
We're
good.
gonna get to the questions. We are. But secondly, we're gonna introduce Sharon Washington.
Williams.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Darn it. Oh man. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Sharon
I went
Williams.
to Washington, but thank God I'm a Williams.
Okay. There you go. All right. Sharon Williams, Imani Brennan, Tyrone Dantley, Austin Toes. We all have a story to tell about our experience in this organization. And we're gonna tell everything. Look, we're gonna make this like a movie. We're gonna be jumping from back to back. We're gonna do like flashback scenes. We're gonna do the good, the bad, the ugly, the future. But first, to get started, this is a big deal. I'm gonna be explaining some terms as I go, just so y'all know. For people that never been familiar with Jehovah's Witness, don't know much about it, I'm gonna try to break down some terms. But it's a very special language for those that are in this organization. It's very unique, and to their credit, it's very universal for Jehovah's Witness. So you can speak a certain language and go to China or Austria and say another language right in front of a witness among strangers and really sound like you're probably speaking a different language, like Hebrew or something. But what I want to start with is this. Imani, and we're going to go around the room. I want to know first when you were baptized as a Jehovah's Witness and when's the last time you've been to a Kingdom Hall, which is the place of worship.
Ooh, you put me on the spot.
I know.
So I will say, the year I was baptized was the year my sister was born. My sister is 16. She'll be 17 in February. So you doing the math over there, Tyrone?
No, I'm not. But she said 16 in February?
She'll be 17 in February.
So, for real?
Yeah.
Okay, so you was baptized in 2003.
Yes.
That sounds about right. 2000. I remember it was in the summer. I believe it was either June or July. It was like the last day of June or July of 2003.
With you getting baptized, come on, like the same year your sister was born, that had to kind of, to you, be something significant about it. You think about, hey, I got so much to look forward to, like as a representative or as a leader.
What I will say is, during that period in my life, there was a lot of change. So
In the organization?
The organization, and just my personal life.
Oh, really?
Just period.
Wow.
So I will say all that, like, put together was significant, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, we're definitely going to get into that. We're going to get into that. And when's the last time you've been to a meeting? That's what I'm really interested in.
The last time I went to a meeting, it was last summer.
Wow.
I went to a meeting. It was Congress Heights. Shout out to Congress Heights.
Wow, that's where you go. No shade to Congress. I'm sorry. That's where you go when you kind of on the end and you kind of thinking about letting go. Congress is the way you kind of like subtly.
Listen, no, I'm gonna be honest. It wasn't. I went for. It was selfish reasons. I'll be honest with you, because I knew I was mentally. I was basically done.
Okay.
I went to see a brother to make sure. I wanted to make sure he was still good. He was fine, like able. He's older. He's not an elder or anything like that, but he's an older brother. And when I saw him, he was still doing good. He actually gave a part that day, so that like gave me. I was like, all right, cool. I'm good with it. Like,
okay.
I made peace with it, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I think that's kind of loving. I mean, honestly, I think this gesture is loving, as ironic it might be, because we're trying to, me personally, I'm trying to promote whatever makes someone happy. Honestly, whatever you want to do, I'm for it, man. I just know that inevitably there's going to be answers from my peers and my close friends, and this is my platform to give you the answer. You could do whatever you want with it, honestly. I just want you to know that, we'll get into it, but it's not all in. It's other paths, know, and I just can't stand guilt at this time in the world. It's not where it's at right now to let someone have guilt. But anyway, so 16 years after baptism was your very last meeting. Yep. That's wild. All right, look, so we're going to move on and say what you want to share, but when did you get baptized and when was your last meeting,
I
Sharon?
got baptized, I think, April 96. And my last meeting was last year.
Wow.
Let me see. Last year in June, maybe. I want to say June. Whenever that child molesting article came out, that was my last
I think that
meeting.
that was and that a close elder of mine, he felt the same way. That kind of got him away. Is when they came out with that. Was that the one? What was it? Before I say it, what was it specifically about that article that?
It was hypocritical.
And what type of way?
It was not true. That it was. The article was saying that there are people who profess to be Jehovah's Witnesses that molest people, and I know that's not true.
Yeah.
And that they do all of this teaching and training of the brothers to help people, and it just wasn't true.
Yeah.
So it kind of messed me up from wanting to go back.
Yeah, and I could see that, and that's crazy though. I didn't know that you stayed for that long, from 96 to 2019. I remember that article, and look, guys, I'm telling y'all right now, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. My journey through this organization, that wasn't my main gripe. I'm gonna be honest with you, even though. Yeah,
right. It wasn't my main gripe. It wasn't a gripe for me at all.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
well,
not at all.
Yeah, I didn't want to make that assumption, but I'm just saying, putting out there that that's just like for lack of better words, a cherry on top. For lack of better words,
right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like my arguments are way before we get there.
Right.
But that is a part of it.
Yeah.
Now about that, and I'm gonna touch on the articles because I remember that article. I feel like mine was more doctrinal. Like. I feel like any evil and wicked or sick person can implant themselves in a community. You know what I'm saying? And conveniently, unfortunately, it's a convenient community. It's going to sound weird, but to be that, to be the molester because of the two-witness rule, because of their hesitation on going to local authorities. To speak to your point, I spoke to my mom and a lot of the associates about what was going on because we were in Glass Manor. And obviously there was a guy that got 8 of us out of there. You know what I'm saying? 8. When I say us, I mean the young people. Literally 8 of us. And I think he was disfellowshipped twice. Disfellowship meaning removed from the congregation. And look, like talking to my mom, she didn't even bring up. And I asked her directly. She didn't say that the elders advised her to go to the authorities or offered her this and said, hey, you can if you want to. She said that wasn't even a discussion. And I ain't gonna lie, if 8 people have the same result and it's not like done with the local authorities, I have to believe that probably wasn't a big discussion. That to me is disturbing, to say the least. It's disturbing. So yours was last year. That was a big article. They kind of effed up doing that because I think even in that article they said we don't discourage people from going to the authorities.
But they don't encourage it though.
It was like half truths.
Yeah. That was the last time I went consistently.
Yeah.
I've never gone back since that day. I walked out and never went back.
Yeah. Austin, what's good with you? Baptized, and then when did you leave?
I was baptized
last meeting?
December 3rd, 2006. And I remember my date because my older brother was baptized December 6, 2003. That's why I remember that date so vividly.
Wow.
I spent that whole time trying to be a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
I never really bought in. I was always half in, half out. And I mean, the reason I got baptized had nothing to do with the Bible or belief or faith.
Yeah, I feel you.
My older brother got baptized, and I saw how happy my mom was. And I'm a mama's boy.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because I can agree with that.
So,
it wasn't so much that we were bought on what we were being taught, but for us being young and to be baptized, it was more so of the fact that our parents were happy, the older people in the congregation were happy. Yeah. Like, that's really what kind of sold most of us on being 14. Baptized. And I was 11.
Damn. Yeah. See, look, man, like, that's way too young to be making that. Like,
but I got one. It's even worse because I never had a Bible study.
Oh, before you were dipped?
Before I got baptized.
Okay, yeah, because you were supposed to get it from the meeting.
Yeah. No, that's not how it works.
Exactly.
When you did the questions, were they like trying to?
When I did the questions, it was one elder in particular, Brother Fenwick, who I didn't even know the answer to one of these questions, and he was like, you can just say you don't know. And I was like, oh, well, I don't know. He was like, okay, well, I mean, but see, that's the thing. I knew all the other answers. I was book smart.
Yeah.
I've always been book smart, but I never, so I knew enough to get past the questions minus that one. And I don't even remember what the question was, but I know it was something about Jesus. Yeah. And I was never big on the history ever.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, for people that don't know really quick, in order to get baptized as a Jehovah's Witness, you go through a series of studies, but ultimately, when you go to the congregation elders, they test you on certain questions, and the questions change over the years. They change a lot. And if you're able to answer those questions, and they're pretty basic questions, then you could get baptized. Now, mind you, everybody's been in a situation where they cramp for a test, and they know an answer to something, and then the next day they can't tell you a lick of what they're learning. You can pass as a baptism candidate with that type of knowledge, with just barely making it, and then you can forget about it the next day. Mind you, I'm not gonna lie, I just don't agree with the youth being able to get baptized, man. This is my thing. Let me know what y'all think. If I'm 11 or 14 or 16 and I go to my mom and say, Mom, I want a girlfriend, or Mom, I want to start drinking, even if we're overseas, or Mom, I want to get a job, I want to leave school, they're going to say you're too young to know what you're doing. They're going to say you're too young to make that decision.
That's puppy love.
Yeah, but it's promoted that that's the biggest decision of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that if I can make that decision to get baptized, I shouldn't be to make anything lesser than that. If you're allowing me to dedicate my life to that, you know what I'm saying? And it's just an inconsistent principle, in my opinion. Let alone, let me know what y'all think. Have y'all ever seen a young person, when I say young, I mean below 18, that would vehemently talk to his parents if they were missing meetings? He studied all the time and dragged them to field service and did everything on his own without being spoken to. The crap was not existent. What are we talking about?
I did know one.
For real? Talk about it, though. Talk about it.
It was and he had been like that from the beginning. Like, that's just his personality. Mm-hmm. When he's doing something, he's like all in. All into doing it. So even when his parents started slacking off or wouldn't go to the meetings or whatever, he would literally call and make arrangements to do stuff on his own.
Good for him. And I'm not saying that no sarcasm with that. Seriously, I believe that would make sense to me if I was a parent seeing that. I would like, this dude played this more than his video games. You know what I'm saying? But that wasn't the case for most kids, man. Yeah, it wasn't the case for most kids.
I was that kid though.
Oh really?
I was that kid.
Okay, so we have another one.
For the longest time, probably almost up to a year ago, I thought I was could be my life was meant to be a Jehovah's Witness. I never had any desire to do any worldly things, you could say. I love going to the meetings. I love preparing for the meetings. I didn't really like commenting because I've never been publicly speaking. Okay. But I like taking in information, and that's kind of what drew me to it. So I wasn't necessary. I wasn't born into the truth. I do say I was raised because I was young, but I did have the experience of I went to church, Catholic, Baptist, Methodist. My mom took me to the temple for the Islams. We did 7-day Adventists. Like I've seen a bunch of different things, and nothing ever like resonated with me. And when I look back on it, it was more so of the fact I've never been like an emotional type of person. But if you can speak to me and like give me knowledge, which is what the Jehovah's Witnesses did when I'm sitting there 3 days out of the week, right? I'm studying, I'm learning. It felt like school to me, which I was great at. Like it drew me to it, so I loved doing it.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, and I commend you for that. Honestly, I feel like that's a rare case, to be honest with you. I would say 1 in every 8, if that, if I'm being nice. On top of that, mind you, like for the audience, I'm not here to bash what you're into. I mean, honestly, I want people to speak up. If didn't get that type of experience, I want people to speak up and say, "Hey, I experienced that. Good for you, bro." Like, and I mean that sincerely. But also the big thing about the young people getting involved is the inability to really explain the foundation of the religion and the doctrines. If we're making a decision every day, really, life-changing decisions type stuff, where like maybe you don't want to go to college, you don't choose this job, you don't choose these people, we should be able to explain why not darn near in detail why we believe in 607, why we believe in 1914, why we believe we should be able to. But you probably won't be surprised how many people I've talked to recently, and they don't even have a clue how 607 even relates to 1914. I'm like, oh, I'm way ahead. Like, 607, we had 2,520 years, we get 1914. They're like, oh, like, and that's a grown man.
I want to let you know, I have never cared about.
That's the problem. That's the problem, bro.
Even when I wasn't, like, when we had Watchtowers and we had to do field service relating to anything with dates, I was the one that always got the awake.
Yo, that's funny. Yo, so like the Awake magazines was always the magazines that were like the least Bible-based magazines. They had like Discovery Channel type subjects, like
everyday life stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so you would get to those for like the less Bible things, and then the Watchtower would be like the more Bible-based joint, which I'm gonna talk about in detail later. Real quick, I was baptized in 2004. I remember because iRobot came out the day before I got baptized. The mom's van, he always gave me and my brothers like a baptism gift. He always would like single us out and take us out. And he took me to see iRobot. And I told him I could hang. I was falling asleep during my baptism talk. Brother Tompkins right in front. Oh my God, I felt bad.
I was dozing.
And Tompkins seen me. Oh my goodness. My elder in my congregation gave my baptism talk because we get baptized at a circuit assembly.
Shout out to Tompkins.
Shout out to Tompkins. And he looked at me and he's like, nigga, I see you sleeping. Wake up. And I'm like, I can't stay asleep. But anyway, and then my last meeting actually was this year. After the convention, I was done, which I'm going to get into later. But everything just seemed so much obvious to me. And I was waking up doing my own research because of COVID and me working from home. I was able to dedicate hours. And I'm going to talk a lot about it. But my research, even when I was commenting in the Kingdom Hall, my research was accurate, but it wasn't talked about in JW.org.
Right.
But people were complimenting me on my comments. Good comment. Where do you get that from? And I was like, y'all too limited.
Yeah, me too.
And with that being said, Sharon, can you talk about leading up to your baptism? Like who brought you in the truth and how did you end up getting baptized?
So the Tompkins brought me into the truth.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Tompkins.
Wow.
Shout out to the Tompkins again.
Wow.
Amazing. And they have always, because I met them when I was 15. I already had a child. I was living in a situation.
Wow, okay. Was that Chris?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my little shout out to Chris.
Okay.
So the Tompkins were there. I was in the 10th grade, started studying. I believed it immediately. But I didn't want to get married because I didn't like the guy. Could not stand his guts, even to this day.
Yeah.
But, they tell you, mind you, I said I was 15.
Right.
So what you learn is you have to be married in order to please Jehovah. So I said, well, I'm never going to do that. But learning more and more about Jehovah, and I thought the system was going to end like within a year or two.
Yeah.
I ended up getting married at 17. Ended up wanting to please Jehovah, but I didn't like the situation. And I remember one time telling Craven, I don't think that he loves me like it's supposed to be, because it was a really bad relationship, you know.
And this was, you was 17.
I was 17.
And was this
17?
Mark,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Wow, I was such a little kid. I had no clue what was going on, but this is
It was crazy. He was like 10 years older than me. It was, you know, taking advantage of a situation.
Okay.
So anyway, I wanted to go out and field service. I wanted to please Jehovah. And I knew the only way that I would be able to live in paradise with the pandas and the bears was to get baptized. And I wanted to get baptized because I wanted to please Jehovah. So I got baptized.
Did they say anything about you getting married at 17? Was that legal at that point?
No, I had to get permission. What
do you mean permission? What do you mean
from
legally?
my parents.
Hold on.
Yeah. My worldly parents, yeah.
But hold on. So, but it was legal though for you to be married at 17. Just your parents had to approve.
Sign a letter, like a permission slip. Exactly.
Like when the dude recently, the 57-year-old dude got married to the 13-year-old girl, his best friend's daughter. Yeah. It's because he signed off to allow it to happen. Yeah. It's emancipation or something like that.
Yeah, I was emancipated minor.
All right, so look, let's get down to the nitty-gritty on this. Like, did the elders comment on this relationship?
No, but I know that Nat was like, what is up? You know, because you can feel the looks. But I was living on my own. I wasn't at home, you know, so...
Okay, so you really was an adult, like, by definition. Like, you were taking care of yourself.
So he was like, well, if this is what it is, then you have to get married in order to please Jehovah. And I really wanted to please Jehovah. So I got married, and I went over my questions, my 100 questions in the back of the book, passed them, and I got baptized. And it was, at that time, I thought that was the best, and it was the best decision for me at that time.
Okay. I respect that.
I have a question.
Yes.
Was Mark affiliated with Jehovah's Witnesses?
No.
So you was the
So I'll tell you, Nat and Tommy Burnett, I don't know if y'all
remember him.
They knocked on my door, and I opened the door. I was like, looked out the peephole. I was like, oh God, Jehovah's Witnesses. And I just opened the door, and they did their spiel, and I was like, oh, I'm interested in that. And I was 15, interested in spiritual things. So I was prime target for the truth. But it was the talkings were amazing for me throughout my whole entire.
They are amazing.
They are amazing.
Yeah.
They are amazing.
Can I ask you something?
Shout out to the talkings
it's a little personal because I'm just wondering. So where was like a father figure or like parents at this point? I really don't know. So excuse me.
So my father was sick. He was always sick since I was a child. So he was in the hospital. He had schizophrenia. Okay. So he was in the hospital, and my mother was on drugs. Okay. So I wasn't home. Okay. I left home early. Yeah. 14, 15.
So, I mean, sometimes what's needed is needed, but it seemed like it was just like such a convenient a community for you.
It was a convenient community. I mean? Yep. They provided a foundation, and it was stability. Yeah. Because I don't know. I wasn't really a wild child. You know, I wasn't a wild child, but I don't know where I would have been had I not had that foundation. Yeah. That the Kingdom Hall provided. So
that's what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to have a disclaimer. Like, some of these, well, a lot of them, in my experience, are really good people. So a lot of these people are there because they want to do what they think is right. They really want to be the best person. They obviously have an interest in God. You know what I'm saying? And so some of these stories will show that some of these people are sincerely some good people. Yeah. You know what I mean? And my thing is, once you in there, it's like all the outsiders aren't good people.
Exactly.
And that's gonna that messed me up a lot. I think it's a good time for me to read this quote really quick, because growing up in the organization, they kind of have you think of what they call worldly people as like the most toxic, satanic, like you're doomed to something bad to happen eventually with the worldly people. And they've been promoting that since I was a little kid. I was always scared, and me and my brother agree with this, my younger brother. We were always scared of meeting new worldly people because of any moment they're going to take us away and the Satan's influence. Honestly, this is still promoted today. I want to read a quote from the convention of this year, which was really my final waking up period when I said I just couldn't do it anymore. First day convention, Friday in the morning, James Mance.
I know exactly which one you're talking
Helper
about.
to the writing committee of the governing body, James Mance. The talk was a symposium. What contributes to joy, true friendships? Mind you, this convention, this quote is from a convention that's public. Millions of witnesses not only see it, but they also invite people from the world, which are non-Jehovah's Witnesses, to see it. And he said, they're very slick with the words. It says, friendships in the world are often based on selfish motives. All right. He didn't back that with any stats. He didn't quote anybody. He made a blanket statement with no backing up. I quote, friendships in the world are often based on selfish motives. He then later on says, true friends can be found only among Jehovah's people. He later then quotes, again, they're slick with the words, friendships in the world are often based on shared interests. However, true friendships are based on common values. I quote, he said that. I'm going to do it again. I'm sorry.
Do that again,
I was like in the Twilight Zone when I heard it. If this ain't propaganda, then mind you, we've been hearing this stuff since we were little.
Yeah.
We're like, man, this is the only place to find. Friendships in the world are often based on shared interests.
Right, okay.
However, true friendships are based on common values. If you don't go to thesource.com now and look up value and interest and not see them together.
Yeah, I'm
like
the same,
what is it?
right?
Shared interest and common. Nah, man. And so that's promoted a lot. So once you're in that community, which does have good people in there, does have loving people in there. Yeah. I mean, from my experience, the problem is you build that foundation and invest your time in there. And once you want to leave or think about leaving and you're baptized like all of us was, no, you're losing everything you built now.
Everything.
And you're going out to the satanic, selfish motives work. Go ahead. You seem like you had to say something.
So I want to play devil's advocate real quick.
Yeah, please.
Just because this is what I do. So values and interests, I could see where they're drawing the line, right? Because you can have a shared interest that doesn't have a good moral values behind it. You see what I'm saying?
But look though, okay, Austin, I understand what you're saying. I want you to finish, but now you're now it's all subjective.
Well, that's all it ever is.
But I'm saying though, like when you say value, a common value, your common value could be negative too. Your shared
That's very true.
Your shared interest could be. We could have shared interest in blowing up a school.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. All right, but I see what you're saying. Go ahead.
I'm just saying from that point of view.
He's playing devil.
Because you got to keep in mind. But see, you got to keep in mind who we're talking about is saying this, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about the spokespeople for God Himself.
Yeah.
So in their mind, their values are here.
Yeah.
While the worlds are down here somewhere. So your common interest in the world is has bad values, but in the organization, the values are up here.
Yeah,
so
I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
You gotta take into account who's speaking.
Yeah, I got you.
And why they could separate the words.
Right. I understand. And I want you to continue though on this story. So, how long were you married to Mark?
10 of the longest years of my life.
Wow.
10 years. I was disfellowship in the midst of that 10 years too.
Okay.
But,
okay.
Yeah, 10 years.
Okay, because I remember growing up in the congregation. I remember you being in this fellowship for sure. I didn't have a clue what or all that good stuff. I just remember asking my mom, why isn't no one talking to her?
I know, right?
And when someone's disfellowshipped in a Jehovah's Witness organization, literally, we are told not to say a word to the person.
Nothing.
Literally. Look, whether you agree with it or not, they use 1 Corinthians chapter 5 where it says, anyone called a brother or sister that commits adultery, don't say a greeting to them. But there's something that is weird about that. I'm gonna talk about later. Trust me. But so you were disfellowship about in what year? About
2000. It was 2001. That's when 9/11 happened.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I was 11.
I was like, I'm going to die. I got to get back to the home.
Yeah. Okay, so you were disfellowship 2011.
2001.
2001, I'm sorry. Now, look, I really want to ask this, and I'm going to get to Imani's story of baptism in Austin's, but how did this affect Chris? Before you answer, I'm going to be honest with you. Growing up, Chris was always the one that wasn't with it, to me, in my vision.
He wasn't.
And I just always knew that, but I never knew why he seemed like I'll be nice, but I'm good on that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Did you feel like you maybe you? Do you feel like you or the relationship affected that, or
I think when you see people living one way at the Kingdom Hall, but then at home they're totally different. I think he saw the hypocrisy in that, and he just wasn't with it.
Was it through you or through your?
I think
through
it was
Mark
through. It was more so through Mark, but it was through our relationship.
Okay.
Because it wasn't a relationship.
Okay.
But then we go to the Kingdom Hall together. We sing those songs, and we are a married couple at the Kingdom Hall, as you know.
Yeah, of course.
But when at home, we had separate rooms.
Okay.
You know, so he wasn't. So it was us. I wouldn't put it all on him, but it was us.
Yeah.
As a couple, it just wasn't right.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, I can understand it. I'm just so surprised he made that such a strong stand at a young age, and he was consistent. I don't ever remember him showing interest.
He's consistent to this day. Shout out to Chris.
Okay, yeah. I want to talk more about your relationship and how it evolved later on. But Imani, can you talk to us about how you became baptized? What made you get dipped? You spoke a little bit on it before, but please elaborate on your influences and everything.
Once again, the biggest influence it was I will say it was my mother. Growing up, she's always been like super into God, spiritual. Like, this woman quit her job to start a jail mail ministry. This was at the height, like, on some personal stuff. My dad had just went to jail, and then my mom quits her job to 100% dedicate herself to finding the truth. The last church we went to was called the 12 Disciples, and I'll never forget. I don't know how old I was. I had to be, if I got baptized at 9, I had to be about 6 or 7 years old. And I'm sitting in the car, and I'm watching my mom outside talking to, she's trying to talk to the preacher of this church, and I guess, like, I really don't know what to call them. I guess they're like deacons or whatever. But the guys before the pastor was like kind of like blocking her off, trying to like intercept her from, like, she was going to asking him questions. And obviously he just wasn't he wasn't into it. He probably didn't know the answers to what she was asking him. So instead of embarrassing himself, he had other people go before him and intercept her or whatever. But watching that, for me, once again, I don't think I've ever been, honestly, like a spiritual person. Like, I don't think I've ever had that connection. It's always been about, if you can show me in the Bible, then I can believe it. I gotta see it to believe it. I can't feel it. You can't tell me what I need to see it.
Yeah.
So when we start studying with the witnesses, and for me to be able to sit down at that table and to have these books in front of me with the Bible, and to go like paragraph, line and line, and for it to be looking like it was like 1 + 1 was adding up for me.
Totally, yeah.
At the same time, I was only 8, so it made sense.
That's a big deal too.
So it made sense. So I'm like, why not? Like, y'all not asking me to jump up and down and speak in tongues. I can't do none of that. But I can raise my hand and answer this question that I studied the day before. I can do that. So I was like, okay, why not? I'm going to go ahead and get baptized. And
so let's see. Back some real quick shout out to everybody in the comments. We appreciate y'all. Look, we love y'all, but this is a good thing because we can't keep up with all the comments. But it's a good thing because it shows to the traffic being bigger and bigger. Verlin, Essence, The Trail, Q. I saw somebody else up there. We appreciate y'all. I'm going to read one of the Darnell. Shout out to Darnell.
I think that's it.
And I'm going to read some more as we go.
I think you got everybody.
So, look, after baptism, what was some of the good moments after baptism that you appreciated from the organization?
Well, I will say I liked field service. So after I got baptized and I was able to be an auxiliary pioneer, I liked that a lot. I hung out with some cool older sisters, I'm be honest with you.
Good for you, man.
Sister
Yeah,
Van,
I'm for you.
She probably my number one still to this day. I haven't talked to her in probably
Sister Van?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Shout out to
yeah. I love Mary Van. She was always
shout her out.
She's a lady.
I love
She want to deny me like Peter right now. I ain't going to shout her out. But go ahead.
To be honest, that was probably my, like, field service for me was big. Like, I loved going on field service, whether it was door to door, street work. I'll never forget when we did drive-by witnessing with Shelly Slidell.
And we have drive-by witnessing, which can you tell them what drive-by witnessing is?
So I feel like every time I say this, everybody's version of drive-by witnessing is different. our job by witnessing was definitely we would be driving, and then all of a sudden we would just stop, and we would roll the window down, and we give our little spiel, and, you know, hand out the chocolate magazine, and keep it moving. It was literally drive-by witness.
Yeah, that was fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and I enjoyed some of the field service. When we were in groups, and I knew it was going to be a long time before it was my turn again, that's when I really...
I'm dead.
When we did the return visits groups, and I was like, and we had 6, and I would go, and I had to wait 5 more. I'm like, oh, we good. Sometimes we stopped before it was my turn again. That was my favorite part. You know what I'm saying? But then I'm going to talk about, like, as I started waking up, how I became more and more non-caring about what they wanted me to say, but what I thought, and I got looks like crazy from people I was in service with. Like, what are you saying? Stick to the script. I'm like, nah, I actually feel like this. But you have such a pleasant story. You have a pleasant story so far. We're going to get to the medium. But I appreciate you appreciating that. I could tell you do. Austin, can we get down to your lead up to baptism? Well, you touched on it a little bit.
I touched on mine for the most part.
Okay.
Because, I mean, honestly, my entire life, my dad was in and out, but like he was baptized and he was disfellowshipped and he was reinstated and he was disfellowshipped like multiple times. So that might be one of the reasons I never took the religion seriously, because it didn't. It was just, it was what it is. Like, we went when we went, and we didn't. Like, I celebrated Christmas as a kid.
Oh,
I got a PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like I got a PlayStation. When the PlayStation first came out, the PS1, the first PlayStation, we celebrated Christmas. Like, my dad was married to a worldly woman, and she had 3 kids. So like, they did everything. I went to church with them when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then like the next day went to the Kingdom Hall. Like,
oh wow.
So for me, it was just like I was just doing what I was raised to do. Like, I never.
It was kind of watered down for you. It was just going through
the motions. It didn't matter to me.
Yeah,
like, nothing. It was never a time as a child where I sat down and was like, I need to learn about God or this or that. Like, I need to take this seriously. Like, bro, life was just life.
Yeah.
I'm just here for what I'm here for.
Okay.
You know,
that's very interesting, especially at a young age, relatively speaking.
It's crazy because for as long as I've been alive or remember, my grandfather has always been a presiding overseer and coordinator. So at first it was presiding overseer, then it got changed to coordinator of body of elders. My grandfather has always been that, as far as I can remember in my life. Right? My grandmother had been like a regular pioneer for a long time. I think my aunt always was serious in it too. Like, she did foreign language, learned Spanish, went to a foreign language congregation. But my mom was also in and out my entire childhood.
I can imagine that kind of makes it easier not to take it seriously.
Yeah, so I've never really took much of anything serious ever in my life.
And obviously that didn't help at all.
Right. Yeah. Like, it's just not me. Like, everything is a joke until it's not.
Okay.
Like, I take the serious stuff serious. Like, if you want to have a serious conversation with me, like, as long as you let it be known this is a serious conversation, I'll take it serious. Yeah. But if you don't let it be known, I'm normally going to make a joke. Yeah. It's going to be a joke.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why I say me getting baptized literally had nothing to do with doctrine or faith or belief. I literally just got baptized because I was a mama's boy, and I wanted to prove that I could make my mama happier than my older brother did.
As you got baptized, growing up, as you got baptized, have you ever had that moment? Because obviously you get older and older where you're like, man, let me just check this out, though. You know?
I tried. I definitely tried. Like, to the point of regular pioneering, to the point of, I mean, I've given just about any talk.
You
like,
were
I've given multiple talks.
Right? Good at talks too.
Yeah, like that was my thing. Awesome. Like, when I was in East Waldorf, when I was in Hughesville, Chapter Code, and South Alexandria, like, I could literally go to a hall within a couple months, get on the school and get a talk, and just kill that jump.
Yeah.
Normally, I didn't even prepare. Like, I literally put my talks together like a day before.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, have you ever, like, throughout the regular Pioneer, I can't help but, I'm asking this for the audience, and I have my opinions on it. But have you, throughout being a regular Pioneer, giving the talks, have you ever sat down and studied, like, the doctrines? Okay. No, and I respect your honesty.
I never even honestly got 50 hours or 70 hours a month.
Yo, and
I lied on my field service.
A lot of more people did
A lot of people do.
This dude.
A lot of people do.
This dude just lost the whole audience with that.
I have never in my life.
I was always scared to do that. But I realized that a lot of people I heard did that, and when that's why I never auxiliary. Well, I did auxiliary a couple of times, several times. But I always would make sure I get it because I never understood when someone said I ain't make my time. I'm like,
how?
You promised to Jehovah you were gonna make your time. Like how? Like and then they'd be lazy the last day. They'd be like, I got 3 hours left. I'm like, you can still make it. You just gotta try really hard into Jehovah. So I was like, something.
I'm glad I didn't grow up with you because I'd have clowned you, boy. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my God! Like, let me get into my story really quick. Speaking of that, growing up with two brothers. I was the second to last baptized. My older brother Quentin got baptized with 3 young people in our congregation. I think even 4. Daniel, Crystal, Joshua. They all got baptized the same day. And I felt the pressure from the congregation. I did. At that time, I was into porn. I remember, this is actually kind of funny but sad. But my dad, he had paid the DirecTV guy to get all the channels for free. And I was 10 or 11. I had all the channels for free. And so I got into pornography at such a young age, and you know, I kept that habit for years and years. And that's messed up, Verlin, but that was funny. Verlin said dirty pool water. That was funny. And so when I was 14, my mom was like, "What's taking you so long? What's taking you so long?" And I was like, in my mind, my right hand's still my best friend. You know what I'm saying? Nah, but anyway. And she was like, "You're not gonna get everything perfect."
Trey is hilarious.
And so as I continued to be involved in porn, I got baptized, but I stopped the porn for a minute. You know what I'm saying? To my surprise.
Okay.
Good old
so I was like, the Holy Spirit is really working. I was like, yo, it's lit. The Holy Spirit lit. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I enjoyed the association with my brothers. And the friends that we met, the young people, we were homeschooled. And I never liked service. I ain't gonna lie. I hated service. I was,
Shout out to homeschool.
And we met so many people because we had a Jehovah's Witness homeschool circle. And it was
Shout
fun.
out to Seek.
Shout out to Seek.
I know, I remember
Shout out to Seek. Yeah, for real. So that was my thing. And I remember the first time me and my older brother met Double Life Young Witnesses. This is when you come in.
Right, exactly.
No, because I'm not gonna say their names, but it was 2 dark-skinned young brothers, and one is out right now, one is married. Actually, he's cool, really cool. And they were just cursing up a storm, and we were at a Sikh meeting, and me and Quinn looked at each other, and he was like, "Dickhead, F you, da-da-da." And me and Quinn was like, "Whoa!" We never ran into nothing like this before. We thought all witnesses were like us, like, cause we legit didn't curse or nothing. Like, we were kind of good witnesses, and we was like, "Whoa, this is a." And they introduced us to a whole circle of double lifers. Wow. These are people that like are baptized witnesses, but they outwardly kind of live immoral lives, like by definition. So when that happened, I was like, yeah, pretty much. But after my baptism, I still was, I think, spiritual. I went to Mexico and got 90 hours for 3 months straight, and you know, I had a good time with the association. But then, you grow up and you start thinking for yourself, and you stop letting your association and the first impression of your parents do your thinking, and you stop being satisfied with certain answers. And me, I always was a person asking questions, but I always suppressed them because I was like, Jehovah knows, or it'll just, I don't know, it would just kind of work itself out. But when you're persistent,
you're waiting on Jehovah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and this is one thing, we even use this in the What the Bible Really Teach book, one of our publications we use to study with people. One of the first chapters we say, why do adults stop asking questions? Adults, as kids, you grow up, you say, what is that? What does that mean? What does this mean? You get a certain age where you kind of let the questions go, and you just go about life. Kind of life takes you away from the questions. I didn't let life take me away from those questions. So I started planting seeds. So I'm going to start off with my story. This is the middle story about my awakening. And I'm going to go to everybody else.
So before you go, I want to say after my baptism, how I, progressed.
Oh, please. Oh, yeah, please.
Yeah, so I loved field service.
Wow.
But What I loved the most was giving parts on the school. I loved giving parts.
You were really good. I definitely remember that. You were fire.
Fire.
You were fire. Yeah, you had to be top 3 to me.
I loved it.
Yeah. She was top 3. I just gave her 2 for leeway, but I think she was top 1. But just in case I'm forgetting, but she was top 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I love giving parts on the school. I love the meetings. I love the friends. But going out with Karen, going out with Nat, their field service group was the bomb. We had book study back then in their house, and everything was just nearly perfect.
We were together at that point, right? If I remember a little bit of that. Okay, all right, cool.
So it was nearly perfect. So I really enjoyed field service. Always had Bible studies. Always had Bible studies that progressed. I've had a lot of Bible studies that even progressed to baptism. So I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Your personality is real authentic. Your personality is really real. You know what I mean? I don't know you too well. I honestly don't. But like from the surface and from what I've observed and just my natural instinct, it seems like you have such a relatable personality. And that's me without really knowing what you've been through for real.
That's why I forced myself into getting adopted by her.
That's right. Shout out to adoption.
Well, I'm glad I'm here today because I don't think I ever like really knew you. I was close with Tony. I was close with Verlin.
Right.
Shout out to Verlin. That's my brother. But I do remember on occasions when you would be around, and I'm going to agree with Tyrone, you were always like super authentic. You was always super real. I've always felt like you had more to say, but I feel like you was kind of holding back.
Definitely
I always got that feel
back.
too.
Definitely holding back.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I want to take advantage of your wisdom here. Obviously, I know that you divorced from Mark, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so to me this is a big deal. I think this is this could be very interesting content. Can you tell us, as much as you want to, because you ended up marrying someone we would deem worldly, correct? Mm-hmm.
That the friends love.
Okay.
By the way, can you believe
remember that moment because you seemed really promoting in the relationship. Like you weren't holding back anything.
No.
I remember even on Facebook, you were like, "Oh, I got the best, husband." That was cool, and I was like, "Man, like that planted some seeds to me." Like she's like happy. So can you compare as much as you can? I know it's we don't want to disrespect anybody. Obviously, just so the audience know, obviously this is one perspective, and take it with a grain of salt, however you want to do it. But I want to know her thoughts. Can you really give your experience in a worldly person and a witness person, and what gave you kind of the guts to go the worldly person?
So my marriage was trash.
Which one? The second one or
no?
The first one? Okay,
it was trash. It never should have happened. I was too young. But being married to Carlos, shout out to Carlos. He watching.
Oh, that's what's up. Okay, cool.
That's Carmen's dad.
Okay.
So it was fun.
Yeah.
So it was love without conditions. And he introduced me to traveling, and he gave me a different perspective. It wasn't always I'm watching you and if you do something I'm going to tell, or it wasn't him against me and teaming up. It wasn't a team of brothers, because like with Mark, like and I'm gonna stop saying his name. It's making me nauseous.
Really quick. I just wanted the audience to be made known that it's a big deal when you're a Jehovah's Witness and you marry somebody that's not a Jehovah's Witness, because it's so spoken against and frowned upon.
Right.
And so you could really get disciplined in a congregation if you choose to do so. But Sharon chose to do so. That's why I want her to elaborate on the different experience between a witness and a worldly person, is what we call them.
The biggest thing that they say is marry
within the Lord. Only in the Lord.
Only in the Lord. But I was able to laugh. I had his family. I was able to get close to a worldly family, and it was fun. It was fun. It wasn't that he was with the brothers, because if you do something and you have the men all together against the sister, and the sister don't really have a say, like I finally had a say in my house. It wasn't he wasn't a Jehovah's Witness, but he used to come to the meetings.
Yeah, I remember. I remember he went to a convention one time.
He came to the conventions. Right? He used to be like, girl, that's crazy. He used to always ask me, what are you going to do if this system don't end in 2020 or and I'd be like, it's going to end. I'm telling you, it's going to end. It's going to end. But he didn't have that that pressure.
Okay.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
It was a burden.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, burden is the word. It wasn't a burden. We had fun. We had fun.
He didn't have the pressure towards you,
right?
Against the religion.
Against the religion.
Was like, okay, well,
and we never celebrated. We never celebrated holidays. So he was very respectful of the religion. So we never celebrate Christmas. Like my kids, they never had Christmas. They never had birthdays. None of that stuff. He was very respectful. You know, he was like, oh, she's a witness. I ain't got to buy her nothing for Christmas or her birthday.
I spoke on that before,
but it wasn't. It wasn't a burden. And it was fun. It was fun. And I enjoyed the ride. Shout out to Carlos.
Now, was it a point where you were kind of, obviously you were hoping he would come in the organization,
I
obviously.
did, yeah.
At what point kind of, or was there ever a point where you was like, that's beating a dead horse?
So I will tell you who impacted his life back then and even to this day. Nat Tompkins.
Shout out to Nat Tompkins again.
Even to this day, they studied together. But he just wasn't with it. He wasn't with the governing body. He never agreed with that. He never agreed that it should be a group of men dictating what you should do down to the men, and he never agreed.
Tim Tompkins?
No.
Oh,
I'm
Carlos.
saying,
Carlos.
yeah,
Okay,
Carlos.
okay.
Carlos, no, not Tompkins.
Okay. I mean, you never know now. But
yeah,
okay.
right. But
I got you.
He never agreed. Carlos never agreed that the governing body should dictate to the circuit overseer, the district overseer, circuit overseer, down to the elders, down to the men, and the women were last. He never agreed with that.
Okay.
Never agreed with it. So I knew he wasn't gonna. And then one thing, the blood issue, wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I said he not going.
As a Jehovah's Witness, see, and this is one thing. I want the PMOs, and we're going to talk more about that later, the physically in, mentally out, to know that there's good, sincere people outside of the organization. There's good Christians outside the organization as well, meaning they follow the Bible. How did you allow yourself to develop an interest with Carlos?
Looking for companionship and friendship.
Okay, so you went seeking. It's not like
I wasn't seeking. No, it just kind of happened. I wasn't seeking.
Okay.
We were working together, and it just kind of happened at work. And I was like, I don't have nothing at home.
Okay.
And I was getting older.
Okay.
You know, I coming into my own.
Okay.
And it just kind of happened. We just developed a relationship, and I was like, we got to get married. You know, I was like, we got to get married.
Yeah,
we got to get married. You know, that's
How
the
much
thing.
was he against that? Was he kind of?
He wasn't against it because we were together for 5 years before we got married.
What's his ethnicity?
Cuban.
Okay, so do they have and I don't want to sound prejudiced, that's why I'm asking, but do they have like a cultural background of like loyalty, like long marriages, or is that, you know how stereotypically the Mexicans are like always married, right?
Yeah, they do.
I know that's different cultures, by the way. I'm just saying.
They do. And like for instance, his mom, she never remarried after she divorced. His aunt never remarried after they divorced. They have long marriages, a really good family. Yeah. And that's what drew me to. Really good family. Tight, close-knit family.
So you even could say that he made you feel comfortable even about trusting him as far as his loyalty. Yep. That's super important. Yep. I feel like a lot of witnesses don't want to leave their wives in the same room with you. Did my wife look at you? Goodness gracious, but okay, that's pretty reassuring. I think that's a big deal. A funny okay, so after that, obviously the marriage came to it, and obviously, in which you
married a brother.
Okay, can you describe? And obviously, I'm like, I want her to express. I don't want to, but can you describe how that was and what your mental was coming from a worldly person to another brother?
So I was not gonna get married again. I was okay with just being. But this brother, Michael Washington, I'll say his name.
Okay. She said his full name too.
Michael his government name. He was a deep brother. And I was very deep. I was a deep spiritual sister. Deep. I never wanted to stay on the surface. And I am telling you, this man swept me off my feet. With that Bible, oh my God. He like a lawyer with the Bible. Knew.
Wow.
Shannon, can you tell us where Brother Washington came from? Because when you guys, I guess, were dating or whatever,
right?
And I remember him coming to the Kingdom Hall. I remember him also giving a talk like previous years before that, and I kept saying, "I've seen him before. Yeah, I've seen him." What was his initial? Where did he come from?
He was disfellowship. Okay. He was out for 3 years. Because he was married before too. So he was disfellowship. He was out. He went to a French congregation. So he was in French. And then the meetings changed, so he had to come back to English, and he came back to Glass Manor.
Oh, so he came to Glass Manor before he even like had an interest.
Yeah,
before you
I never knew him. I never knew anything about him. His talks, nothing. Never knew him from a fly on the wall.
Can I ask you something? And I just really want to ask you this, just to give you the chance, to give you the option. If you, can you speak on what happened exactly between why you and Carlos didn't work out? Like, what was going on?
Shout out to Carlos. So we kind of just separated. We started going in different directions. I think Carlos had some things that he had to work out, and I had some things that I had to work out mentally.
Okay.
And it just didn't work. You know, I wish it would have, because right now to this day we talk every single day in the group chat. People are surprised that we even divorced because we get along. He go to my family functions. He actually, I don't think he minds me saying this, but he had a heart attack about, a month ago, and he stayed at my house to recover.
Okay.
So we get along so good.
Yeah.
But it just didn't work with us being a married couple.
Okay. Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I appreciate that explanation too.
Yeah.
So Brother Washington, he was good with the scriptures. He was kind of deep. And would you say that be honest with you, did you go at him or he kind of went at you? How did that work?
He came at me.
Okay.
He came at me.
And this is in Glass Manor.
In Glass Manor.
Okay. Now
in Glass Manor, and I didn't push him away.
Okay.
I didn't push him away. I fell. This for the record. I ain't push him away. I fell hard for Brother Washington. For Michael. Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of tells me how spiritual minded you are. If that was like I'm sure one of many attractive qualities, like him being like using the sword as a sword.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say. He shared a scripture with me with my name in it. And I'm a nurse, and the scripture was like, I think it was 1 Kings something, but it said, in the nurse Sharon laid down and kept David warm. I said, oh my God.
Wow. That's crazy.
I said, I never knew how my name was in it.
He's good.
Deep.
That's crazy. I never knew that.
He's good.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, he is good.
I was like, yes.
Wow.
I said, we gonna do it. I don't even care. We gonna make it work. Yeah.
Okay.
So he was deep.
Yo, that's dope. So I'm what I'm gonna do is, and I know that probably you'll implement it in the rest of your story. We're gonna go to the ending part, guys. We're gonna go to what kind of led us to wake up and decide to leave. Imani, can I start with you? You cool with that?
That's cool.
All right, I'll go after you.
So it may be a little weird, but I feel like it's full circle though.
Okay.
So it was my little sister who actually kind of, I want to say, sent me on that path. She was dealing with some personal things. I had to come to the rescue. At this time, technically, I was officially I wasn't even disfellowship yet. After everything had went down with my sister, and I realized the advice I was giving to my sister, like, I wasn't applying it to myself personally. So that gave me the courage to go ahead and face the brothers, which is what I did.
So you were telling your sister kind of like be the spiritual girl or get some help or whatever.
Not necessarily be spiritual, but like you said earlier, I've always had I would say I had a pretty great experience as being a Jehovah's Witness. When I would come to the elders about different things I was dealing with as a young person, like, I literally felt like they didn't judge me. I'm going to shout out Brother Tonkins again, because he was always, 9 times between him and Craven, they were always the two elders I would come to with, like, personal things that I was dealing with. And they would give me some real feedback. Like, I felt like I was talking to real people. Not somebody who's just going to read me some scriptures out of a Bible, but real people. So with that experience, that's what I was telling my sister. Whatever you're going through, at this time, Brother Tonkins wasn't around, so I'm just like, yo, go to Craven. Like, tell him what you feeling. Tell him everything. Like, at the end of the day, like, you've been honest, you've been genuine, you've been authentic. They can't do nothing but respect you as long as that's what you've been. And when I thought back on it, because I had left, technically I guess I was inactive.
Okay.
I was inactive.
Meaning you just stopped coming to the meetings.
Exactly.
You weren't kicked out. You just stopped showing up.
And it wasn't necessarily anybody didn't do anything to me. It was me. I was dealing with my own personal things. So as I'm telling my sister this, go to the brothers, I'm like, yo, I'm not even going to the brothers. So I decided to go to the brothers. And when I went to them, I asked to be disfellowshipped because I felt like I needed some time by myself to figure me out. I think before I went to, after I came out the meeting with them, I called you on the phone. I was still in the parking lot, and I'm telling you, like, yo, I went to them, and I'm talking to them. Yeah. And
did they want to disfellowship you?
That was the thing. No. It's another thing that made me, I'm not going to say, it didn't make me upset, but they brought in the people. I wish I had a whole different committee.
Yeah.
They brought in Craven. They brought in Moody.
Oh, God.
And Timothy Miller. Timothy Miller was like my brother. Yeah. Brother Moody was basically my father.
Right.
And then Craven was the guy I've been telling everything to.
Yeah.
So it was like, I did this. I felt like it was like some type of, like, to play on my emotions. But, like, I held it together, and I'm just like, listen, like, this is what I need. And, I told them everything I had been doing since I had been gone. I had been gone for, like, a year. And to me, it still seemed like they was trying to find ways for me to, like, no, just keep coming to the meetings. We're going to set you over here. We're going to set you over there. And I'm like, nah. So then they told me, listen,
disfellowship me.
Listen, I asked, I'm like, I need to be disfellowshipped. Here's what got me. After I asked to be disfellowshipped, they told me, so we're going to send you out the room. And we're going to pray to, for a decision. So I went out the room, and I'm sitting there like, I asked you to be disfellowshipped. Like, is there any other decision? I guess at that time, it's still supposed to be, like, Holy Spirit is God in this meeting or whatever. So, of course, when they bring me back in, they tell me to go to disfellowship me. I'm like, yeah, like,
that's what I asked to be
disfellowshipped.
I didn't need
thank you. I didn't need y'all didn't have to pray for this. Like, we could have came to this decision by ourselves. Right. But, yeah, so I was cool with that. So, what kind of set me on a different type of path is, again, my sister came into some trouble. This is about 6-7 months later. Mind you, at this time, I was publicly announced. I had no contact with no Jehovah's Witness, including my mother or my sister. I'm afraid that my sister would contact me like every couple of weeks. She would say stuff like, hey, Monty, are you okay? And I'd be like, yeah. That was it.
Yeah.
2-3 weeks, I'd be like, hey, Anija, are you
Thanks
okay?
For that too,
and she would say, yeah. Right? So we just checking up on each other, making sure we still alive and breathing. Like, that's it. Like, no other conversation. My sister had gotten into some trouble. My mother had called me. And that's the first time I heard from my mother since I had been disfellowshipped. Mm-hmm. So when I'm looking at the phone, I'm like, something ain't right. Mm-hmm. So I pick up the phone. My mother is going crazy about what's going on with my sister. And that set me on a weird path for about a week. Mm-hmm. When I came back, I was under so much pressure, stress. I went over to my mother's house. And when I knocked on the door, she, like, opened the door a little bit, but, like, it was weird. Like, the whole vibe was just weird.
It was like you was about to get her a subpoena or something.
Exactly. Like, I'm your whole flesh and blood.
Had the little lock chain on the door so you couldn't bust in.
Like. So she opened the door. After I had announced it's me, it's Imani. She opened the door. She creaked it a little bit. I said, yeah, can you talk? Is Anija there? And she's like, yeah, she's here. And I was like, okay, well, can you talk? And she was like, Monty, you know you're not supposed to be here. So I said, I understand that. But I'm here as your daughter trying to have a conversation about my sister because I feel like there's more that needs to be said. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I was only there for the well-being of my sister, nothing else.
Yeah, I understand.
My mother wasn't having it. So I ended up, like, pushing the door open. I invited myself in. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And as I'm writing myself, and my mom keeps saying, Imani, you're not supposed to be here. And she was saying something about the brothers this and the brothers that and Jehovah this and Jehovah that. I said, listen. I said, I'm not here about Jehovah. I'm not here about the brothers. We can deal with that later. I'm here about my sister.
Mm-hmm. And she's at how old at this point, right?
At this point, and she had just turned, no, she was 15.
15, I think,
she was 15 at this point. I'm here about my sister. She never asked why. She never asked what was going on. She never asked what brought you here. Mind you, this is almost a year later that you hadn't heard anything from me except when you called my phone asking me, about my sister. Mm-hmm. I'm bringing it back to you.
So mind you, for the audience, so Imani was under the status of disfellowship at this point, in which, like we talked about earlier, no one is supposed to talk to her that's a part of the Jehovah's Witness organization. So we come to find out her mom called her in regards to her sister, but seemingly now Imani can't approach her mom about the same priority. Which, in my opinion, is hypocritical. But I'm not trying to personalize it. I think it just comes with the indoctrination, unfortunately. But yeah, so that turned you off. Obviously, that was a turn off because it didn't make any sense.
It didn't. And that, for me, that was my first, I had heard, so for the people out there, my mother is the only Jehovah's Witness in my family. So, her sisters, I have 2 aunts, my grandmother, I have, first cousins that I would say we're pretty close. So I never got to hear from them their perspective of how they viewed my mother or how they viewed us growing up. But you get the vibes, you get the looks, you kind of know they probably think we a little off, right? Yeah. So when my mom acting the way she was acting towards me at this time, at that point I kind of felt like, yo, this is probably how my aunt feels. This is how my cousin feels, because you acting super weird, and I'm only coming here to talk about your daughter, nothing else, just your daughter. That whole conversation, it went left. It went from, I literally told my mother, I said, listen, if you don't feel comfortable with talking to me or having a conversation about my sister, I said, listen, you can call Brother Craven, you can call Brother Porter, whoever is in Glass Manor, call them right now. I said, I will sit here. If you feel comfortable with them sitting in the chair, regulating the conversation, that's cool. But my only concern is the well-being of my sister. She took it left field. Obviously, she never called the brothers. Mm-hmm. But what I got from that conversation, because I ended up calling my sister out. She came and sat down, and I was asking my sister some things that she had confided in me, because at that point I felt like I was being played, like I was the middleman. Because my sister was telling me that basically what she said was, my mother, and she just said the brothers were telling her that I was brainwashing her. My sister was with me for about a week. She told me that they told her I was brainwashing her. And I'm sitting there like, but the whole time you was with me, I was encouraging you to talk to the brothers. Even though I may have had my own personal I was telling you to go to them with whatever you felt like you needed to go to them about. So how in turn could they take that and swap it? But I wasn't sure if it was my sister just saying it to get me riled up, or was she really saying it?
Saying what she heard.
So, in the midst of that, my sister comes out and says, well, your mom said that you were an apostate. And that threw me for a complete loop. Because up until this point,
you were all in, right?
I was disfellowship, but I was still all in.
Yeah. I remember speaking to you, and an apostate has 2 definitions if you go by the
dictionary
Miriam's definition and the Jehovah's Witness definition.
Yeah.
So Jehovah's Witness's definition for apostate is someone that speaks against Jehovah, or someone that speaks against the Jehovah's organization,
the governing body,
and in turn speaking against Jehovah, because they use that interchangeably, the governing body or the rulers of Jehovah's Witness organization and Jehovah. But the world's definition is someone who renounces their religion. So you can renounce your religion but still be a follower of God. You just don't think that religion is the way to God.
So I came in the truth as an apostate because I was a Baptist.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, so you were like the Miriam's definition of apostate.
I was apostate. There you go.
And I remember talking to Imani at this time, and she was all in. Like, she, at this point, she didn't never question. And I think I at least questioned it more to her, but I just didn't do my research.
No, you did.
Oh, really? And so she came. Can you talk about what kind of make you kind of look into the actual doctrination of witnesses after that?
It was, honestly, it was after my mother after my sister had said that my mother had told her that I was an apostate, and at this point, I stopped the conversation. I'm like, yo, she lying. She lying.
In the Jehovah's Witness organization, real quick, really, calling someone apostate is like calling a black person a nigga.
Yeah,
it is.
It's that threatening, bro. It's the worst thing you could be called as a Jehovah's Witness. You know what I'm saying?
That's the worst.
But yeah, go ahead. Iman.
So I'm looking for my mother to say today, no, that's not what I said. You misheard me. Nah, my mother then looks at my sister and says, well, why would you tell her that? And I said, Mom, I said, so you told my 15-year-old sister that I was an apostate? I said, well, why do you think I'm an apostate? Why do you have these thoughts in your head. I said, because you haven't talked to me at all. Because once again, an apostate, Jehovah's Witness definition is somebody who's talking down on a religion. What have you heard from me personally where I'm talking down on the Jehovah's Witness religion?
Right.
I had never done that.
Yeah.
I always thought it was something wrong with me.
Yeah, and I remember talking to you about it. Yeah,
like,
and you expressed that to me.
I literally thought it was something wrong with me. Like, I need to be fixed. Like, maybe it's not for me, but I even remember if I ever had kids, this is what I would raise my kids as Jehovah's Witnesses, because even though I don't think I could be a Jehovah's Witness, my kids got to know the truth. This is the truth.
Yeah,
they can make the decision on their own, but this is it. Ain't nothing else.
Yeah.
But
but look though, but after that though, when did you come to me with that Crisis of Conscience book? Like what led you to that?
That was probably like 30, 40 days later, right? So after I left my mother's house that night, I ain't gonna lie, I looked up apostate in Webster's dictionary and then compared it to Jehovah's Witness version of what an apostate was. That kind of calmed me a little bit. I'm like, oh, so it's really not that bad, honestly, when you look at it like that.
So in reality, you were
Webster
pushed into being an apostate.
I really was.
When you had no clue about it.
I probably had never gone on that looking, researching. I probably wouldn't have, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Because that's not what I was looking to do. I didn't have a gripe against how I was raised. I enjoyed it.
You clearly had a great upbringing in the organization.
But once I started doing that research, I didn't enjoy the things that I was finding.
Yeah.
And that's when I came to you.
With the Crisis of Conscience,
I don't think we weren't like super close.
Yeah, we weren't super close, but we had
conversations.
Yeah, we had understanding. I think. Yeah, and I really enjoyed it.
In our conversations, like I always felt like I was comfortable with talking to you.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was vice versa.
Yeah, for sure.
And it always stayed wherever we were. It never left.
Exactly.
So when I was going through this period, Tyrone was one of the first. I think he probably was the first person I reached out to, just to bounce ideas off of, to see what he thought, what he would say. Because once again, he's always been pushing the envelope ever since we was little.
Yeah, and I was defending my butt off. I was trying. I was fighting. I was like, nah, I got something for you too. I got something for that too. Not that. I got this for that.
And I'm asking him questions. And I will never forget. If I don't remember anything out of the conversation from that night with Tyrone, I remember asking him what made him continue to come back, or what made him stay. And he said, you know what, Imani, it's not the doctrines, it's not the friends. What he told me was being a Jehovah's Witness made him a better person.
I agree.
And for that, I could never, like, if it makes you a better person, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I thought that was real.
Yeah.
That's what Carlos used to say all the time.
Yeah.
If it make you a better person, then go for it.
See.
Yeah.
And I want to get into I don't want to run too late. You're fine. I just don't want to. I want to make sure that you're able to leave if you want to leave it. All right, but I want to get into your story next so that I could give you that chance if you. But I definitely want to hear it. But can you describe your? I know you said last year was your last meeting. Prior to that, was there any like eyebrows raised, or and how much did your marriage kind of contribute to that?
Well, I will tell you, being married to Michael was, at first, it was amazing because I had the dream, because I wanted to be a witness wife.
Yeah.
It was perfect. Austin will tell you. When I say loved somebody, it was almost worship.
Wow.
But he was abusive. After about 3 years, it was very abusive. Spiritually, mentally, physically, very abusive.
Man. Yeah, I had no clue.
Yeah, no one did, because I didn't say anything either. And that's another thing. You keep everything inside, right? And you hope and you pray that things will get better.
Dang.
But I still, even with that, it was all forgiveness because I wanted it to work. I said, Jehovah will bless this. We trying to do the right thing. I'm listening to everything that he tells me, thinking that I was doing the right thing. But my kids was there, his kids was there, and everybody saw it. It was affecting me physically, and I didn't realize it. So that was an eye-opener because the brothers knew, 2 brothers knew, and they didn't do anything about it. They didn't say anything.
2 brothers knew, like, from you or like
they knew from me because I had to say something because I kept ending up in the hospital. So I had to say something. It's okay.
Sorry,
I'm healed. No. Keep it upbeat. I'm okay.
Okay.
So I confided in two brothers, and I told them, that what was going on.
Yeah.
And he wasn't disciplined for it.
Why, the two witness rule?
No, he.
Well, you had proof. You had evidence.
Yeah, of course. But he wasn't disciplined for it.
Why though?
That's my question.
We still asking that to this day.
But hold on.
That's but the thing about it is women, and I know it happened to another sister when I was younger, and I thought about her because I saw her change throughout my years. I saw this sister, she was a beautiful sister, and I literally saw her change. She was in our congregation. I'm not going to say her name out of respect for her. But I saw her change to like an old bag lady looking lady. And then I said her husband was abusing her because I was in the same situation, and I started to physically change too.
So look though, okay, let me ask the obvious question. So when you say that you told two people, I don't get it. How can they not have done something?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying, what was they saying though? Like when you
they talked to both of us, and they told him to stop.
And they told him to stop.
Yeah.
Did he stop?
Stop.
Did he stop?
No, he didn't stop.
Okay, so at that point, did you go to them again?
In Glass Manor?
No, we left. We left Egypt.
So what?
We was in South Alexandria.
So you understand my confusion a little bit here, right?
It's very hurtful, and it bothered me when I woke up. So why didn't they? That's my question. Why didn't they do anything? Why wasn't he disciplined?
Audience, I'm not victim blaming. I'm trying to get down to it. I'm trying to ask the obvious question. Did you go to a higher circuit overseer?
I went to two elders.
I know, but I mean, after they didn't do anything, did you?
No, I didn't. No way, because you don't speak.
I'm not
against
judging
your
you for
husband.
it. I promise you, I'm not.
What I'm saying, as a sister, you don't speak against your husband, because I didn't want to cause any problems in the congregation. I just was like, this guy is going to kill me, and I need to say something. Maybe Holy Spirit can stop it, and we can go back to what we were before.
All right.
So that was my whole reason why I didn't press the issue.
Okay. Okay.
Real quick, Ty. So, to your question, who you are in the congregation as far as likability, status, history known to the congregation, all of that plays a factor into whether you're going to get in trouble for something.
Right.
Like, I literally got told, all right, well, we're gonna check on you to make sure you're okay, for divulging the same information that one of my friends in his congregation got disfellowshipped for.
I understand.
So when it comes, I'm not saying this is exactly what happened, but it's very plausible that he was well liked.
Yeah, they liked him,
and therefore they were less inclined to punish because of what it would make him look like publicly.
Yeah. I mean, I can't help
how
but
it would tatter
I can't help but
his
be open to that.
How he looked public, in the public eye. You know what I'm saying? His reputation.
Right, his reputation. Okay, so with that being said, and look, I know that some women can attest to just kind of having to be quiet after. I know that, but I'm asking it just to ask the obvious question.
Right.
What I want to know is, from your observation, from your intellect, what do you think led to that from such a seemingly spiritual-minded man? And how long did you kind of say, nah, it's not? How long did you kind of tell yourself, oh, nah, he's going to change or whatever?
So you said seemingly. So a person can only fake for so long, and then they become who they really are. So he just became who he really was, because he did the same thing to his wife before me. Okay. Now, mind you, I told you I had no idea about him. I didn't know his history, didn't know nothing about him. I just saw him as face value. But that kind of shook me a little bit. Now, for those brothers, I will say they met with us again. And when they met with us, they really saw his anger. Because, see, now I had exposed a secret that was going on, and now they was looking at him sideways, but he wasn't disciplined at all for it, because I guess I didn't press the issue.
Okay.
So they was like, okay, well, but I'll say when I left him, I separated. They never sat down to ask me, "Are you okay?" Never. Do you need anything? How you doing? Never no shepherding visit.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
You were probably fighting the uphill battle. Like, you were fighting his already established reputation. Like, they already gave him the benefit of the doubt, probably.
Right.
And this was you moved to his congregation, right?
No, we actually moved. No, he wasn't even welcome in his own congregation. So we moved to South Alexandria to just start fresh and new. Mind you, I was so naive and so not who I am as a strong woman today. I was so naive, and I listened to everything that he told me. I followed, and my daughter will attest. Whatever he said, that's how it was.
Oh, okay, all right. So you were still really spiritually minded. You still wanted to do the right thing.
Absolutely.
You still wanted to obey the hierarchy.
Absolutely. And I loved the congregation. Yeah. And I said, I don't want to be the one to cause any problems. And besides, they not doing nothing about this anyway. Like they never did anything about it. Yeah. And right now to this day, he remarried, and he's still in good standing, and I'm disfellowship. So. But that kind of made me say, that was one of the things I said, that's not right, because you have clear evidence. It's not even a question. It's no question about it, and he's in good standing, and you meet with me, but it's for a judicial meeting.
What was your charge though?
I had an entanglement.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And no. Let me clarify. Let me just say this. Let me say this. That brother wasn't disfellowship either, and he's in South Alexandria.
Oh, really?
So, and it happened one time, 1.5.
Sometimes.
And he wasn't disfellowship though. This is what I'm saying. In the committee, when you talked about the committee that I had sucked.
Okay.
One brother didn't like me. One brother was a newbie, and one brother was so spiritual, and I love him to this day. Love him to this day. And I respect him as a man. And the elder that he, like the idea of the elder, what it's supposed to be, he is that. It was that one brother. What is his name? The white brother, Brother Sutter.
Okay.
Shout out to Brother Sutter. I hope you're not watching this, but if you are,
he shouldn't be this far into it if he is.
Shout out to Brother Sutter.
He shouldn't be at this point if you
so
did see
that right there really messed me up. It was the abuse that I received in my spiritual marriage, the disfellowshipping of me and not Sanjay Moore. He wasn't disfellowshipped, and the generation teaching, and the Watchtower. Just took me out.
Now let me ask you something about the Moore guy. Was he disciplined in the past? Because admittedly, just like I have, you have been disciplined in the past. Do you feel like that was an effect to why he might not have been the fellowship?
I think he was disciplined in the past. Okay. But like I said, we had a really good congregation. And when I say I was remorseful for what happened, I immediately apologized.
Yeah.
I thought about committing suicide. I felt so bad. I cried for 3 months. 3 months straight. I lost so much weight. I was physically sick from being spiritually sick. And they disfellowshipped me. And I'm like, what in the hell? That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally... But they didn't even disfellowship me for the entanglement. They disfellowship me because I wasn't being cooperative. Because they were asking me questions I didn't think they needed to know.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
You don't...
Yeah.
That's what I said. They made up something new for me. They told me, but they was asking me questions. I can't answer these questions. It doesn't matter. It's not going to change what was already done.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
They're very invasive.
Yeah, very invasive. And 3 men, you don't want to talk about stuff like that with men who you don't really care for.
I totally understand. And while you're disfellowship, and I remember they used to talk to disfellowship people kind of regularly.
They talked to me.
But
they did talk to me.
No.
Like right after that, Brother Sutter would say, come and sit, because I didn't say anything. Then the next day I sent them all of the text messages and everything that Sanjay, that we had exchanged back and forth. So they was kind of like, damn, we messed this one up. So that's how I felt, because they was like, well, Brother Sutter was like, come and sit with me and my family. And I was like, oh, they must not going to
disfellowship person?
Yeah, this was like the next meeting.
Oh, so this is before you were announced, though.
And even after I was announced. Because I went for 3, I was going to write my letter after 2 weeks.
Okay.
It was
to come back?
Yeah. after it was that loving. They were so loved. The congregation as a whole, outside of the one brother who didn't care for me, the congregation as a whole was so loving, and I loved every bit of the congregation. Yeah. All of the friends, I just loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it. I loved it.
That's a privilege because look, including me. I remember when the rules changed. I guess they got something new updated in the Shepherd the Flock book.
They did. I've read it.
They didn't talk to me about nothing spiritual. I had to come with and I even when I came to them, they said you gotta put your letter in. I was like, oh yeah, I can't talk to this fellowship niggas anymore. I was like, oh, I didn't.
Yeah, that was me
too.
But
that told me that according to that principle, you can establish a relationship with Jehovah on your own. Then, if you can't associate with the congregation, then it's possible to establish, according to what they're saying, a relationship with Jehovah on your own. So you don't need the meetings. It's good to have them.
As long as you do it through their publications.
Like, go into your waking up story.
Their publications is the key word.
Their publications. Yeah.
So my waking up story starts, and I say waking up, obviously, as I've established, I was never deeply indoctrinated.
Woke. Look at her. Stay woke.
Stay woke. Yeah. But when it comes to like just being perfectly fine with living a double life and not really caring, I was in and out. So it started 2 years after I was baptized. Got baptized at 14. At 16, my mom died. And once my mom died, I moved back to Maryland to be with the family that was up here. But in the congregation, keep in mind, this is a congregation that known me since I was like 5th grade. Mm-hmm. I felt like the congregation was there for everybody in my family except me. Nobody ever sat down and talked to me about how I felt, how it affected me, if I was okay. Nobody really cared to me. And I'm talking like family and all. Like nobody has ever, still to this day, has ever, like, the only time anybody in my family even talked to me about it is when I exposed the fact that I had depression, and they never knew that because I never showed it. Because I didn't see the point in showing how I truly felt to people who didn't care. So since nobody would ever take the time to talk to me, and the only people that ever did weren't witnesses. So I have friends in school, some of which who I'm still friends with to this day. And then I had a couple teachers. A teacher and a guidance counselor. Shout out Miss Diggs. She's the best teacher I ever had in my life. She pretty much adopted me too. She was like a second mom as well. But the only people that actually took the time to see how I was feeling, to hear me express my thoughts, to encourage me to express myself, like, because, I always wrote poems and songs. They encouraged me to do that, to get it out. None of those people that ever cared were witnesses.
I ain't gonna lie, that's freaking sad to hear, man.
Sorry, I got distracted by something. So that's where it started, and then from there I was just like, well, it really don't matter. I can, like, F it, I do whatever I want. Then I ended up talking to this worldly girl from Kansas City. She was like the first like female to like really take interest into how I actually felt, about my mom dying and all that good stuff. And so I ended up dating her, falling in love. I'm a lover boy, is what I do. Falling in love, like running away, getting caught, having to come back because I wasn't 18 yet. Then going again, messing around with her, like, sexually. And then after like 2 years of that, of being with her in Kansas City, I came back and got disfellowshipped because I went to the brothers, told them everything I had done over the last so years. Yeah, I had been reproved about it before. Well, I had been reproved for messing with her before.
Okay.
And then I left again.
So wait. So what you telling me is all you had to do was switch the names up and you would have got reproved again instead of
Probably. I'd have probably been straight if I didn't,
Yeah.
admit that. But I couldn't because it was one brother in that hall, him and his wife, Doug and Carla Brooks. They literally went on my Facebook and had screenshots of everything I had posted on Facebook for the last 2 years. No. My tattoos, my ear piercings, me being with the girl, raising the kid. They had everything that I put on my Facebook for the past 2 years and gave it to the brothers when they knew I was in a judicial meeting. Like, behind my back. I don't switch names. I'm sorry. I tell it how it is. Yeah, gave it to the brothers. So I go into the meeting with the brothers. I had told them what I wanted to tell them. Mm-hmm. Right. And then they had these papers saying, nah. So are you sure you told us everything? Right. Oh, I was like, yeah, I told you everything. Yeah. And they was like,
they give you that chance.
So what about this? And then I'm like, listen, man. Okay. Sure, you got me. Whatever. And okay, so Sherrod, they had it in for my grandfather. Reminder, my grandfather was the coordinator / presiding overseer my entire life. They didn't like that. I don't know why, but they didn't like him wherever in the position he was in for some reason. Maybe their own aspirations. But they literally, because when I was disfellowship, my grandparents let me continue to live with them because I was working to come back. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right? I was working to come back. And those same brothers tried to use the fact that my grandparents let me live with them to get my grandfather removed. Yeah, I'm sure. And it took the circuit overseer, Brother Humor. Shout out to Humor. He's a great guy.
Mm-hmm. Wait, our Humor?
Yeah, same.
Yeah. We had the same. Yeah, we had the same overseer.
He wasn't that funny.
No, his humor was completely dry. Yeah. It was parted Red Sea dry.
He came out the Henny. He wasn't that funny.
That's hilarious.
But he was a nice guy. He was really good, and he literally came in and was like, "Are y'all kidding me? Have y'all not heard of the prodigal son? So you'd rather they throw their grandson out on the street than help him come back? That's not happening. We're not removing him, right? So let me say. So eventually I come back. I'm reinstated. I came back because at that time in my mind it was, I'm not going to see my mom again if I don't come back. Mm-hmm. I won't make it into paradise. I won't see my mom when she gets resurrected. Because when she died, she had come back. And she was living according to, standing, she was in good standing.
Yeah, that's a freaking thing that they take for a lot of people. It sucks, man. It sucks when they dangle that. And you feel that guilt. You want to see, obviously, your loved ones again. And you want to be the good guy. And it's the qualities of what they call fog that a lot of what they claim to be cults use is fear, obligation, and guilt. Fog. It's a reoccurring theme in all cults, I still personally haven't concluded if I want to call it that, to be honest with you, but it has cult-like qualities for sure.
Yeah. So, they, so I came back. And when I came back, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this the right way this time. I'm going to do it the right way. I'm not going to lead a double life. I'm not going to, nothing. So I cut off almost all of my friends because they weren't witnesses. Right? And had to make all new friends. Right. The funniest part about that, and this goes to when I was like, oh, okay, it really don't matter whether I take this serious or not. So, after X amount of time, I was allowed to regular pioneer. I started making new friends, right? I'm in East Waldorf at the time. At this point, I started making new friends. So, and some dope people that I love to this day. Victoria, Brianna Daggett, love them to death. They're like baby sisters to me. Y'all know the Irwins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I do. I
love them. Like Sharif was probably my biggest support ever. Like Sharif is like my biggest support.
They're gonna see my story. They're gonna be like, "What in the heck?"
I know. This is gonna be bad, bro. This is gonna be bad. This is gonna hurt them a lot. I know. But Sharif and then What's the name too? I can't remember. But anyway, so I'm regular pioneer, all this good stuff. But then, as I'm starting to hang out with this new group of friends, I realize. Okay, so I realized I was an asshole. That's because that's just this is what I had. Like I literally fried everybody. I had my exempt list, like my baby sisters, Victoria, Brianna, they were on the exempt list. Some other people on the exempt list, but other than that, I was an asshole to everybody. Mm-hmm. And then one day, somebody said something to me that their feelings was hurt or whatever. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna change. I'm gonna be a good Christian. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be loving and encouraging. And then I stopped getting invited.
Blacklisted.
I said, "Oh, y'all just wanted the ass, like y'all just want an asshole in your circle, cause y'all are being good Christians. Y'all need somebody that could be the bad guy."
So you stopped getting invited. Do you feel like because you weren't like fun anymore or something?
I stopped being mean. I was being nice. I wasn't making fun of people. I was being encouraging. I was that,
He was exhibiting, what is it?
I was exhibiting Christian qualities.
How many attributes is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so, but you were in the organization still, though. What happened to, what led you to kind of...
So that made me realize that it, like, living the right Christian lifestyle according to the governing body wasn't what really mattered in the day-to-day, right? Okay. So then I was just like, forget it. I'm going to just do me. So I was doing me still and still progressing. And I was like, okay, they just got to like you. Mm-hmm. People just got to like you for you to get by in this organization. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, I'm giving talks, praying for the congregation, taking the group out in field service, doing everything. They just got to like you. So once I realized that, it was kind of like, all right.
It was another watered down religion.
Yeah, it was just another religion, right? And then one day, one of my friends from Florida sent me the Australian Royal Commission.
Oh, God.
Which, that set her off. Yeah. Me, I wasn't happy about it because I'm sensitive when it comes to kids. Mm-hmm. So it rubbed me the wrong way, and I had questions and everything about it. But it wasn't that necessarily that took me out. I thought about it, but I was like, nah, there's answers to these questions. Yeah. So I went, talked to some elders, my grandfather and my grandmother, got answers that to me sufficed. And I was like, all right, whatever. But from that point, I never took it seriously as well. Then because in 2017, I didn't pay attention to the article, but now it's 2018, summer 2018. And I'm like, wait a second. Because the governing body put out an article.
2017, that's the one that caught me up. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there's a Watchtower article in which the governing body says they are not inspired nor infallible. Yeah. Which means they are
just like me.
Everyday niggas like me and everyone in this room interpreting the Bible and passing down what they decide is the right answer. Yeah. That is when I was like, nah, bro. If that's the case, let me in.
Yeah.
I'm a quote
because I feel like I could really give some great insight into what it's really like to live this life.
And I'm a quote from that article. That's a good segue. February 2017, study edition, page 26. The title article is the study article is "Who is Leading God's People Today?" And I quote. It says, "The governing body is neither inspired nor infallible. Therefore, it can err in doctrinal matters or in organizational direction. In fact, the Watchtower Publications Index includes the headings Beliefs Clarified, which lists adjustments in our scriptural understanding since 1870. If you look up Beliefs Clarified on Watchtower Library right now, it'll list a whole bunch of clarifications scripturally that it's impossible to keep up with. But look, though, I just want people to notice that it says the governing body is neither inspired or infallible. I just want to speak on this a little bit. the reason why that's so shocking to active witnesses, if you tell an active witness that now, they'll get defensive and say, no, they're inspired. The reason why this isn't so obvious is because, one, they don't act like it, and two, they play word games because they still say they're guided by Holy Spirit. This is why they could claim they're guided by Holy Spirit, because they know that people could agree that the scriptures were written, inspired, and Holy Spirit was involved with the scriptures.
Even though the Bible was voted on.
So they say that. Since we are taking the Holy Spirit, the scriptures that were made from Holy Spirit, we're guided by Holy Spirit, and they use that interchangeably. So no one really knows the difference.
That's slick.
They hear that as we're being talked to. But they'll say stuff like that, and then they'll make implications that they're actively being talked to. One implication that they do make. This is just one of many examples. Trust me, I didn't have time to do everything, and I want to do a recent example. The convention of this year. The last talk was Brother Splain, and he said, I quote, do you think Jehovah has been preparing us for something like this pandemic? When the theme for this convention was being chosen, there was no coronavirus on the horizon. Yet, can you think of a better theme for a convention than this one? Joy. Okay, first of all, yes, I could think of a better theme than joy. I mean, really, endurance, forever showing love, like finishing.
They already did those a couple years ago.
But by him saying this theme was chosen, however long ago, and coincidentally, he's implying that they're prophetically being guided by
They
that.
do that a lot,
They do that a lot.
In
Trust
all
me,
the Watchtowers coming up and everything, they always say, oh, we could have never known that AIDS was going to pop. And look, here we are talking about washing your hands and being
in the very
healthy.
same talk, they used the JW broadcast as an example for them having some type of spiritual enlightenment when that's freaking technology. Everything is being digitalized more. Like, that's you not being an old head. That's you evolving.
Right.
In my opinion. It's such a safe thing to rely on. But, like, for me, really quick, even though the length isn't that bad, but I'm going to just tell y'all really quick my story of waking up.
You don't even got to worry about that. You good to go.
Briefly, so I'm a nerd. I'm a geek. I love history, and I never lived a double life. And like to an extent, I had made my mistakes, but I never was a double lifer, in my opinion. I got into trouble a couple of times, came back. I was the good boy. I actually came back the right way 2 times, in which I did what I was supposed to do and did the right thing. And I would be studying throughout the whole time. All right, cool. I enjoyed the meetings. I enjoyed what I was learning. It got to a point where I wanted more than what the meetings gave me. All right? So this is when I kind of started waking up. I used to prepare for every meeting extensively. All the theocratic ministry school books, the Bible highlights. I used to do the scripture index, which explains each scripture. Mind you, obviously, there were a little bit of warnings as I was going that I was kind of like, I think that's a reach, but I'll keep it going. But I got to a point where I just couldn't ignore some of the stuff anymore. And so what I started doing was I started reading every scripture and wanting an answer for every scripture. No apostate stuff and nothing like that. Just me reading. And I used JW.org and I used Watchtower Library. And I got to a point where some scriptures they kept skipping. I'm like, what? Well, what do they think about this scripture? So I went to an outside source. I went to Google. And I would look at what people thought this scripture meant. Yeah. But mind you, I know, right? I did this for a long time while applying it to the meetings and commenting on it. I remember I was saying Hebrew words, and I was like, this actually means this word. And I see the elders like, where'd he get that from? And I'm like, bro, just... And so then...
Google it.
I met this guy, not met this guy, but I ran upon this guy named Bob Utley. He's a Christian guy who has a Bible commentary. I religiously used him to study for the Jehovah's Witness meeting and applied in the comments.
Me too.
I'm an active witness. Even to this, right now, I'm an active witness. Like, I'm officially on paper. I'm not active, but I'm a witness on paper.
Yeah.
So I'm commenting and everything like that. And I'm listening to this guy, but then he gets to 607 BCE. And he gets to Daniel chapter 4, which the organization uses as a double prophecy. Even though we know that they've done away with the antitypes or double prophecies in 2014, but they kept this one. They said, well, this is the one that means a double prophecy. The Daniel chapter 4 means Nebuchadnezzar was to be out in the world for 70 years or 70 times, and also 70 times to lead to the end. So I said, hold on. As a realistic person, really, real talk, how can I listen to Bob Utley and shut down immediately when something disagrees with the organization? That really isn't reasonable. I'm not giving an unbiased. Now I'm just looking for confirmation for what the which isn't fair to my brain and my curiosity. Once I did the 607 research, and I realized the historians that the society acknowledge, and then the ones that they skip, even though some are from the same source, I was like, they're playing to what they agree on. And so I said, okay, let me go ahead and research their explanation on it. And the amount of assumptions you have to make when you study 607 and you study the scriptures that lead to 2,520 years, which adds on to 1914, you have to ignore so many signs and make so many assumptions. Yeah. And so I said, hold on, man. So I started doing some more research on Charles Taze Russell. And I started going into the false predictions that he was making. And then, again, the overlapping generation came to mind that never made sense to me. But once I started looking at the false predictions in the past that were written in their article, it was over. I said, they're guessing. And I couldn't ignore the reoccurring habit that they did all those years, and now we're at overlapping. I'm like, wait, I got a chance now to wake up from them faking it out. They keep moving it. But now I get a chance. I'm in it right now. I see the overlapping generation. And so that's when I said, okay, these Negroes are just anybody. And further research, look, y'all.
I never heard it put like that before.
Like further research, this is not no special apostate magic. You could Google it.
Right.
Like,
it's not.
I didn't,
right. It's common sense.
I was so messed up when I was reading this stuff online. I thought the apostates had a worldwide conspiracy to digitalize everything and change it. I really thought. I was like, they must have a conspiracy to change it. And after that, I simply told myself, I just want to be a Christian, period. Read the Bible and learn for myself without having the guilt of questioning a dogmatic religion, especially one that claims that they can be wrong and has claimed that they have been wrong. And that's where I'm at right now. To be honest with you, I don't have all the answers to by any means. I just know that I'm, in my opinion, I'm just tired of being fed some bull crap. And so I'm ready to learn on my own. And this is the nicest I've ever been to everybody ever. Because now when I'm speaking to you, I'm having a conversation as opposed to waiting to input where I can lead you to the truth.
Exactly.
That's a real conversation.
Yeah.
It's not just waiting, thinking he don't got the truth, so he wrong.
Right.
Which is so unfair to anybody you're talking to.
Yeah.
So now when I'm in the store and someone expresses themselves and he says, man, you got the bad spirit, man, or you got the good spirit. The good spirit is I used to be like, he don't got the truth. I'm not going. I'm gonna let him talk. Then I'm gonna say Revelation.
Yeah.
I'm like, I now listen and say, you know what? I never thought about that, man. Like that's a good thought. You know, I'll think about that. And it's much more beneficial. One more thing a couple of more things I want to touch on. When you're already programmed to look at somebody in a negative light, you're already fighting a losing battle. Yeah. Because your expectations are already low. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they kind of program you to do towards worldly people, to already see them as negative, and instead of opening your ears. Real quick, this is what I want to do. I'm going to mention some of the false predictions. If people don't believe it, you could look it up. But these are some of the many. I couldn't write them all down, of the false predictions that they had predicted over the years. Charles Taze Russell, first of all, he was branched off the Millerite Church, the Millerite Church. You could Wikipedia this. One of the big things
if we look at the video, what was it? Something Into Darkness?
Yeah, it doesn't touch on that.
It don't say it specifically, but it tells you he was sitting in a church.
Yeah.
So you take it from there and.
Yeah. And the thing that I ain't like about that is when we talk about the 144,000 in Revelation, because Jehovah's Witnesses are the only ones that take the number literal. Obviously, everything around it is metaphorical to them.
Except that number.
Except that number.
How?
Then they mention the virgins. They're being virgins, which we define as people that never touch false religion. You can Google Charles Russell's tomb. He was buried with a prayer pyramid. Yeah. Which they later put in 1925. They put in the book Millions Now Living Will Never Die, and they called
of them is dead, by the way.
And he said most of them, yeah. And they put it, they put it in the Way to Paradise, and they called it the Bible stone, and they used it to bring 1925 as a day that the resurrection is going to happen. I'm just quote some of these false predictions really quick, some of them. Okay, so 1915 was foretold to be the beginning of the end of the system of things. The time is at hand, page 99. 1889 edition first hit 1914. They came out in 1912 with a new The Time Is At Hand edition and said 1915. They foretold 1918 in the book called The Finished Ministry, published in 1917. They published this book a year before they said the end was to come. All right, page 404 and page 485. All right, again, they foretold 1921, again in The Finished Ministry on page 64. They said the churches are going to be destroyed by 1921. I want to continue. And mind you, I could pause this later on and go back and read exactly what I'm saying. The book Millions Now Living Will Never Die, published in 1920. Millions Now Living Will Never Die. Mind you, currently under 500,000 people are living now that lived in 1920. That kind of falsifies that. Page 88 in Millions Now Living Will Never Die says, we may expect 1925 to witness the return of these faithful men of Israel, such as Abraham and whatnot. All right?
They were supposed to be at his house in California.
Yeah. What is it called?
Bethlehem. Something Beth something.
That house.
Oh, yeah, it was like a house. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I'll find the name.
Yeah.
The book The Ways of Paradise, published in 1924, spoke of 1925 and 1926 again as the rapture dates. Page 224 mentions 1925 as the resurrection day. Page 157 shows a breakdown of the prayer pyramid, which they used to calculate the supposed end. 1925 and 1926 came and went with nothing happening. 1975 was a big one. They made a big jump from the 20s actually to the 40s to 1975, in which this is a big one. Watchtower 1969, May 22nd, page 15 said, this is in 69, if you are a young person, you also need to face the fact that you will never grow old in this present system of things. Why not? Because all the evidence and fulfillment of Bible prophecy indicates that this corrupt system is due to end in a few years. This was 1969 Watchtower, May 22nd, page 15. After 1975 passed...
Hold on real quick. Before you say that, I just want everybody to know, and you might be going there, so I might have jumped ahead of you with this.
No, go ahead.
But they literally said that 1975 was presumptuousness by a few people, a few witnesses.
Yeah.
But what Todd just read you was out of an article that had to be approved by the governing body in all of their Holy Spirit.
Right, and they admitted that they did have some part in the misleading in 1980 yearbook. If you want to look at the 1980 yearbook, you have to have the physical copy, because I don't think that's on the Watchtower library.
They took it down.
Watchtower 1966, October 8th, page 19 through 20. It says, within a relative few years, we will witness the fulfillment of the time of the end. And not to mention things that are not written on paper, like things said from the platform, like stay alive till 75. After 1975 gone and passed, they smartened up a little bit because they didn't give a specific date, but they mentioned the end of the century.
Yep.
Watchtower 1984, March 1st, page 16 through 21, paragraph 12, hints to the end being the end of the century. January 1st, 1989, Watchtower, page 12, they said Paul was spearheading a missionary activity, laying a foundation for a work that would be completed in our 20th century. They later changed that to say to be completed in our day. If you look at the Watchtower online library now, they changed it to completed in our day. But look, guys, I could go on forever and ever, but I'm not going to go too long. The dates I'm done with, all right? But there's some more stuff I just want to bring out. Research Jesus Christ not being our mediator, which is from the Questions from Readers, Watchtower 1989. That's one thing that if you tell a witness, yeah, we know Jesus Christ isn't our mediator. He's just for the... They'll be like, no, he is. I've tested this out, guys.
He's not. According to them, he's not.
I tested this out. No one knows that.
They don't.
All right, and then the last, two more things. I promise 2 more things, guys. Then we're going to get to the message for the PMOs, all right? Now, you look at the cross definition on a reasoning from the scriptures, and you look at the reference for the cross definition. They reference the Imperial Bible Dictionary. What they do is they do something slick. They start off with the original definition for the cross, which says upright stake. That's true. That's true. The Hebrew word soros for cross or whatever it was an upright stake. Now, they quote from the Imperial Bible Dictionary. If you go to the Imperial Bible Dictionary, the Imperial Bible Dictionary says the cross was an upright stake. But after modifications, they added a cross piece, which most likely Jesus was used in his crucifix. They say it, but they don't quote that. If you look at right now on Watchtower Online, you go to cross and reasoning from the scriptures, you'll see where they put the ... They skip a quote and they finish it up.
Wow.
This is still online for everybody to see. It's just like me saying, "Oh, actually, gay is happy." Like, gay was happy. But not saying, but we know that gay turned into the homosexuality. It's just, they're saying just like that. They're being slick. They're not selling the full cultural story. Yeah. My last thing I want to bring out, and that hit me because I really was convinced that we at least knew the steak was it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, wow, that's new. That's new light for me.
Right. That is new light.
Better go get your steak
and I am passionate about this, so excuse my enthusiasm, guys. But the last one is the overlapping generations.
Oh, yeah.
So they use Matthew chapter 24, verse 34, in which Jesus said this generation would not pass until the time of the end. Mm-hmm. The problem about that is, if you look at the freaking explanation, it's like you're watching the Twilight Zone. Splain then uses the word generation and interchanges it with contemporaries, which is not the same thing. He says, so the contemporaries, but no, you got to stop right there. It's not, contemporaries are people who lived at the same time. Generations are people who were born around the same time. What they do is they use one scripture to explain the overlapping generation. They use Joshua chapter 1, verse 6, in which it says Joseph eventually died, and also all his brothers, and all that in that generation. We learned not too long ago that Joseph's brothers were around the same age. He had 10 brothers, but they were all around the same age. We just learned that in a recent Watchtower, I think, this year. That's not a contemporary. That's more so generation. Mm-hmm. What they do is they skip the definition of generation given by Jesus in Matthew chapter, given by the Bible book of writer of Matthew, in Matthew chapter 1, verse 17, where it says, from Abraham to David were 14 generations. From David into the deportation of Babylon, 14 generations. So they go from father to father. So they skip that whole thing, which is in the same book of the original scripture in Matthew when they say this generation. It's honestly, guys, I'm going to be honest with everybody looking at it. I understand. I get it. Like, I get it. I get it. I was there. I was fighting. I was saying no, but this and that. I get it. But it just doesn't make sense if you're being honest with yourself. Yeah. If you look at anything outside of the publications, just like you wouldn't go to the Cheesecake Factory to get a review on the Cheesecake Factory, you would go to something like Yelp or something like that.
That's my favorite analogy.
I do the same thing. I say the same thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why would you stick to the car dealership of Honda to get a Honda and not ask anybody else?
Right.
And this is talking about the thing that's gonna be the biggest impact in your entire life. You're the one bro. Witnesses themselves. Listen, y'all will go to Google and get reviews and research on things as small as if you're gonna like the shoes you're buying online. But the one thing that in your mind means your salvation, you just blindly go with.
And I think too, a lot of people, they know, but it's so much that you will lose if you leave.
That's true.
Tell me about it.
Honestly,
it's a lot. It's a lot.
And that's what I want to lead into that. Like, we're gonna end off with a message to the PMOs and witnesses. PMOs being an acronym for physically and mentally out people. Sharon, can you start off with something that you probably would tell the PMOs, any kind of like word of advice or anything?
You know what? I would just say, do your research and do what's best for you, because everybody has their time. I can't say for a PMO to just get up and leave, because I know what's at stake. I know what's involved, and it takes a lot of courage to do it. But one day, do it. Do it, because you're not going to find any happiness.
Yeah.
Let me say this really quickly.
Yes, no, please.
When after I got this fellowship this time, I told you I was very depressed, very suicidal, and I went to therapy. And I said I have to be honest with her in order to get help. Yeah. Because I didn't even want to tell her anything about the Kingdom Hall, which was the reason why I was there. Mm-hmm. So I told her. And you know what she told me? You're not the only Jehovah's Witness that sits on my couch and says the same thing. So from where I was then, and I graduated after 3 months of therapy. Shout out to therapy.
Okay.
But from where I was then to where I am now, leaving the organization was the absolute best thing that I could have ever done. I met amazing people. I've had some witnesses to, still in, well, they're not in anymore, but to really help me, I had people that are out to really help me. So you won't be by yourself. It's a whole community that will be there to help you. You won't be by yourself, because that waking up process is painful. And it can be detrimental to some. But I would just say, do your research by yourself. Don't let anybody tell you anything. Look it up for yourself and make the best decision for you at the right time.
I agree. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Imani, any message to the physically and mentally out people?
Kind of just piggybacking off of what Sharon said. I mean, I guess I can attest to that waking up process where it was detrimental to me. Just being honest, I was in the hospital for about 7 to 8 days because waking up for me was a culture shock, I guess, a reality shock, and I couldn't accept it. So it took me a long time, and it's past a year, but for me, it's still kind of like a recurring thing every now and again. I'll be honest. You asked me last week to do this. I kind of been out of my whole Jehovah's Witness bag for probably a couple of months now, because for me, I had to put it to the side because I realized it was like consuming me and taking over my life. This whole waking up process.
Yeah, I understand.
And I'm piggybacking what Sharon said. Like, at the end of the day, it's gonna come a point where it's gonna be something inside of you telling you to question it, think for yourself, to do research. Like, don't ignore it. Like, I pushed that down for so long. Like, listen to whatever in the inside your conscience is telling you, right? We was listen to your conscience. And go ahead and do that research outside of what is being provided to you, because there's so much more out here. It's so much more.
And I'll say one last thing too. Everything, if you think about it, all of the new light, that means the old light was a lie. So how many more lies can we take, and then we just ignore it and say that's okay. No, it's okay. We're chasing after wind.
I used to tell myself, I literally used to have to repeat over and over to myself that as long as it's not killing me, I'm going to keep doing it. Because at the end of the day, like, I'm going to have the answer at the end of the day. Jehovah's going to lead me to where I need to be at the end of the day. But as long as it's not killing me, I'm going to keep going with it. But eventually, like, that's not enough. Eventually.
And me, for the physically and mentally out ones, I speak to a lot of them, actually, pretty often. And, one sister, she just can't go anywhere because her mom will kick her out. I feel sorry for y'all, but I really feel sorry for y'all. But the thing is, hold on, you know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do. Keep your composure. And know that your feelings are echoed a lot throughout the whole community. And that was one thing that was encouraging to me, was when I saw a video from an ExJW, and he said he had that moment where your body asks yourself, your mind asks yourself, who are you? And you say, I don't know. That crap hurt, bro. That crap hurts. It's like there's no benefit for us like tricking people. Like it's better for us to be wrong. But it hurts when you ask yourself, who are you? And you just don't know. You got to regather yourself. So PMOs, you're not the only ones feeling how you feel. It's tough. It is tough. Keep doing your research. For Christians, I would say there's another way of Christianity. You don't have to be guilt. You don't have to be guilt by unrealistic standards and standards based on theology, and things that are not really scriptural, like beards. You know, like come on, really. I mean, people always say, oh, people are allowed to wear beards. So let's just keep it real. But anyway, and for the witnesses that are still in, I'm not gonna lie. If you 60 and up, I don't want you to wake up. I don't want you to wake up if you're 60 and up. I hope you enjoy the rest of your life.
Right.
And may Jehovah forgive you for ignorance. It's not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And for the other witnesses, you could keep doing what you're doing, but does it make sense to you to only look at one source? If the truth is the truth, it'll stand on its own. It don't need to be protected. The truth will stand on its own. You don't need to freaking hide it and do all that stuff, you know? And this is random. why do you treat disassociated people the same as disfellowship people? Can you explain that to me scripturally? How you treat someone that disassociated themselves, said, I don't want to be a part of the congregation, the same as disfellowship people.
You know, I asked my grandma that question.
And I remember that she couldn't answer. Right?
I asked because I told my brother, my older brother, he was the first person I told. I was like, look, I'm going to tell you now, I'm not going to meetings no more, none of that, because I'm a public figure now, it's going to come out eventually.
Salute.
Right? It's going to come out eventually. Whether in an interview, formally or informally, it's going to come out. And I was like, listen, I'm going to just tell you right now, I'm not doing it. I don't believe it. The most fundamental belief about being a witness is you have to believe that the governing body is leading the organization through Holy Spirit, God put them there, yada, yada, yada. So I told him, I don't believe that. I brought up the 2017 article. He never even heard of it. Keep in mind, he's an elder. He never even heard of it. He said, oh, you might have interpreted it wrong. I was like, I'll send it to you. He was like, all right, send it to me, because I don't know. You must be. I sent it to him, and the first thing he said back was, I'm going to give you to the end of the week to tell everybody else. She said, I'm going to give you to the end of the week to tell everybody else. And then I'm going to have to do it because of my responsibility. I can't let it go unchecked. And I was like, all right, whatever. I don't even think I responded to it. I just let it die or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I didn't tell nobody.
Yeah.
I'm like, he going to do what he got to do.
Yeah.
End of the week, I get a text from my grandmother. Long text. We heard that you were this, that, and the third. We love you, but we're prepared. We're prepared to cut you off.
Wow. Just like that.
We love you, but we're prepared to cut you off. And I said, well, all I said was I'm not going to the meet no more. But I would like to know why. How is disassociating yourself, which is basically choosing that you don't want to be in a religion anymore, the same as being disfellowshipped for unrepentantly sinning.
Exactly. Remember, they used to
and that's what I told them.
They used to differentiate it. They used to say so-and-so has been disassociated, so-and-so has been disfellowshipped.
Right.
Now they say, and it's smart, I'll give
no
it
longer
to them.
one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
You
but they can't even say that anymore, because now all of you witnesses, if you made it this far, you're not even members of the organization.
They're just associates,
You're
right?
individuals now.
Individuals, yay.
Yeah, I heard about that.
You're individuals. So individually make your choice.
I've read a little bit about it, but I was confused.
It's too much.
When you outside, you realize how freaking Twilight Zone is just trapped. But that would be, we appreciate that. That would be my message to the witnesses. You could keep doing what you're doing though. You could, if you're enjoying yourself, you could really keep doing. Honestly, you could, man. Yeah. And I'm for you. You know, I'll talk to you and hang out, and I won't even bring this crap up. I'll give you everything. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I made a promise to one of my close relatives. Look, I'm gonna tell you this. I won't bring it up unless you bring it up. I'm telling you, because I'm good with where I'm at.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I'm saying? So
you good
look,
with where you at?
Yeah.
Good.
Like, don't
good
bring it up unless you want to bring it up.
Yeah. Thank you, man. So look, we could have went deeper. I shortcutted some topics, so this could last a while. Hold on, let me shout out one person.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Still fading, very true. Oh, okay. Shout out to ExJW, still fading, man. You know, hang in there, bro.
I'm gonna be honest with you. After this pod, you're gonna be asked to do another one.
Probably. I'm down.
I'm telling you.
I'm down.
I'm telling you.
I want to shout out Carmen's products here.
I've been watching the comments as we go. People are gonna want to dive deeper into some stuff.
I'm gonna shout out okay, so we know your audience, so you know we should be all right. But it's CarmenRenee.com for like face masks. She also has bracelets. And what else do you have, Carmen?
Come on.
You don't have to, but I just wanted to shout you out.
Come on, Carmen.
Talk about your business. You're a
right
whole
here.
business owner. You go ahead and take my spot.
Hi everyone, I'm the owner of my brand is Carmen Renee. I have makeup products and accessories, so anything from lashes to bracelets, lip gloss, all of that. I'm your girl. It's CarmenRenee.com.
That's what's up. Okay. Any other shout outs? Y'all want to like plug anything or anything upcoming?
Yeah, I do. I just want to thank the Tonkins I mean, I know we've been shouting them out all the time, but when I say somebody that's always there for you, they've been there for me since I was 15 years old, and I'm 45.
That's
and they're still there for me. Shout out to the Tonkins.
Shout out to the Tonkins. Shout out to the Tonkins. That's all for me, y'all. You know, I'm tied up. I gotta get my mixtape, man. Say no, I'm joking. I'm tied up. Y'all know me. Y'all see me on Instagram. Salute to the comments. Everybody be happy. Support. Promote love. Really, I love all you witnesses. Really, I think you guys are mostly good people.
Yeah.
So I love you guys, man. And whoever wants to talk to me personally, hit me up. I'm not going to pay you any attention if you never hit me up in about a year or something. But people that I feel like really care about me, we can have a discussion and I'll listen to you. So with that being said, thanks for your time. I really appreciate you guys' contribution to this. Thank you so much. This is brave on your part. I think to me it's historical, especially at least locally.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm super glad you all were able to share this with me. And thank you for being honest with your stories and being open.
All right.
Power to y'all. This is Words Never Spoken, episode 14. And we're done, guys. We're out.